Welcome and thank you for tuning in to the Believe in Yourself podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Believe, better known as KevBiyi, man. And if you yourself are interested in creating your own podcast, let me show you how to do it, man. Let me give you some great advice. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. I only need two things real quick. Listen in close. Number one, it's free. That should say it all right there. But if that's not enough, number two, you can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. That means you can start making money from day one on your podcast and start putting that money to good use. So, let me give you the information. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. That's ANCHOR.FM to get started today. And I want to hear your podcast. Peace. Thank you for tuning in to the Believe in Yourself podcast. Now I'm your host, Elizabeth Akinbyi, and I just want to say thank you to everyone who's been tuning into these episodes. And I pray, and my prayer is that everyone has been getting some type of inspiration, motivation, or even some tips and tricks of the trade that they can use in their everyday journey or lives into entrepreneurship, professionalism, or just downright living. Now, if you want some more from our guests on the show, we're eventually going to be partnering with them and bringing you some special discounted items later on. So if you love these guests and love the things that they have to offer and you would love to support and build the community, all you need to do is text BIY to 31996. That's BIY to 31996, and let's grow this community together. Peace. Hello, and welcome to the Believe in Yourself podcast. Today is a special day, man. Another beautiful podcast I got lined up for you guys. Today, my special guest is Mrs. Akinbyi. She's actually my sister. What's going on, Mr. Swim Beef? Long time no talk, man. Thank you for tuning in to the podcast, brother. Appreciate it. Today I'm going to be interviewing my sister, who's actually a doctoral student. And, yeah, man, we're going to have some interesting conversations today. Now, before she comes on in, guys, remember, if you guys have been joining these podcasts, man, we got a lot of good things coming up in the future. All you need to do if you want to join the Believe in Yourself community is text BIY to 31996. That's text BIY to 31996. Dates of when we're going to be having episodes and also updates of the Black Dollar Challenge, how to donate, when to donate, and when you can spread that love, man. Secondly, today's Golden Nugget, which is brought to you guys in part by Titan Protective Services, protecting what matters most to you. The Golden Nugget is, the harder you work for something, the greater you feel when you achieve it. Now, there's been times, I'm pretty sure everybody out there who's worked very hard for something and try to win something or to gain something. For me, I'm a former athlete, and I remember the first time I won a championship. It felt so sweet because after you win that championship, you remember all the blood, the sweat, the tears from the beginning of training camp to practice, to win some games, to losing some games, then you finally win that championship. Or maybe you finally get to the goal of wherever you want to be in business. It's that much sweeter the harder you work for it. Anything worth having in life is definitely worth working for. So just remember that whatever you're going through, it's all worth it in the end. And just stay focused and keep going. And I'll read that one more time to you. The Golden Nugget, brought to you by Titan, is the harder you work for something, the greater you feel when you achieve it. And that's Titan Protective Services, brought to us by Titan Protective Services, protecting what matters most to you. What's going on, Miss E? Elizabeth Akinbyi, how you doing?
Good, I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing great. How's your day going so far? What's the weather like up there?
So it's actually really warm. It's warm over here in Cleveland.
Uh-oh. Are we having some Wi-Fi issues there?
No. Can you hear me?
So I hear you now. It kind of paused when you said it was warm over here in Cleveland. That's all I got. I don't know if we're having some Wi-Fi issues. Miss E, how's your Wi-Fi going? If you guys can hear me, give me a thumbs up on the screen. Okay, you're back again.
Yeah, I went off of my Wi-Fi. I don't know if it's a lot of people pulling from it at once. I'm on my 4G.
Okay, cool. Whatever works best. So you were saying it's really hot over there in Cleveland.
It is. It's like, and today's kind of humid, so it kind of feels like Miami. It kind of feels like home. It's not too bad, though. Yeah, a little cloudy.
Wow, that's interesting. Gives you a little taste of what home feels like. I know you missed that. I don't like the winter over there. That's why I can't even deal with it.
I like seeing all 4 seasons, I'm not going to lie. So it's nice to see autumn and the leaves change colors, and spring when the leaves bloom and the trees bloom. It's really nice.
You can have that. I like seeing 2 seasons, winter and spring. I mean, summer and spring. That's all I like. Summer and spring. That's the most you get out of me. All of that change in color stuff, you can have it. It's good. You can watch it on TV.
Not the same, but okay.
Well, so I'm pretty sure you've been keeping up with the times. You know, we've had COVID this year. We've had the George Floyd and many other killings or murders, however you want to look at it. And now we have this election coming up. So how's your take on the current climate of our country? And either one of those topics you can touch on. You know, how are you feeling about it right now?
So with COVID, it feels very isolating, I would say, because I'm extroverted, and so I enjoy interacting with other people, and I would have already been home 2 times by now if I could, but I'm stuck here in Cleveland and I feel stuck. But COVID it's complicated because a lot of people don't have the means to still earn a living through being shut down or being furloughed. So there's that aspect of it, the economic aspect of it. But there's also the reality that some people are losing their family members and friends, or they know of someone that has lost someone through this pandemic. So, and then from a scientific standpoint, it's like you want to learn more, you want to know more, but you also want to have the time to properly do the research and verify your findings. So I would say it's almost like a perfect storm. It's like, I think that this whole COVID has shown Americans that our economy really can't withstand being shut down, and that our government can't support us through that. But it also has affirmed the need for an emergency fund and what that looks like, and having multiple streams of income. And I think that people have a new appreciation for scientists as well. So I feel like that's also good.
Yeah, I like all those sentiments. And I'm a guy that likes to look at the glass half full. So I also understand that as human nature, people are not really going to make a move or a change unless they're uncomfortable. You know, you're not going to take your shoe off unless you feel a pebble in there bothering you. You're not going to find the need to change anything unless there's something bothering you and triggering you to do that. And I think with the climate being the way it is right now, it's forced a lot more people to think of ways to be more self-sufficient. You don't really have to be an entrepreneur, but you use the word of multiple streams of income. So that is definitely something I think is a positive, because it's allowed people to now not be so reliant on just your 9 to 5 and understand that you have the power to take control of where you can be and where you can go in your life. And I've noticed that a lot of people, like you said, a lot of people have lost their jobs, but there's been a lot of people who've made a lot more money since the COVID thing has happened. I mean, of course, they're more in the entrepreneurial space and people that's doing different types of business that can capitalize off of a time like this. But they've made more money now than they did pre-COVID. So I like to look at the glass half full when it comes to that. And yes, there are the good and the bad. There's that yin and yang. I mean, Jay-Z has a line in his rap: you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. You know, when the water's dirty, you just can't throw everything away. You got to take the good with the bad. So I look at it like that.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So thank you guys for tuning in. And if you guys haven't noticed, the guest that I have, we have somewhat of a resemblance for those who haven't read the caption prior to this. This is my actual blood sister right here. Same mother, same father, you know. And we definitely grew up in the same household, so we have a lot of the same, as far as being raised in the same way. But we still think very differently on a lot of things. And this, I don't know if she knows this, and also I believe I see my brother tune in. I don't know if they know. They are part of the people who motivate and inspire me. Whenever I talk with them and I hear what they're doing and what they have going on, it just makes me say sometimes, like, Kevin, what are you doing, bro? Get your life together. And they are just so, like, especially my little sister, man. Growing up, she was the person that did every sport I always thought about doing. She did every activity, government, student this, that. She was prom queen, like everything that I thought of possibly doing, she did and accomplished it and was great at it. So she's definitely been an inspiration to me. And I just wanted to bring her on to really share her story. As you guys know, the podcast is Believe in Yourself. And she's definitely someone who speaks to that sentiment. So I'll let her give a little bit more background about who she is and what she does.
So, as Kevin mentioned, we grew up in the same household. I was born and raised in the county of Dade. Very proud of that. Does this show up the right way? Did I do it this way or this way?
I don't know. We get it.
So, so I grew up in Miami Gardens. I grew up in a predominantly, I had two older brothers. So there was a tomboy phase that I was like admiring my brothers, wanted to be sporty like them. I then went through going from a public school to private school. And that was a tough transition for me because in the public school, it was the understanding that I wouldn't amount to much, more so like I wouldn't even graduate high school. And thankfully, my parents, and being of a Nigerian household, education is like gold. It's like the number one currency. It's the number one conversation. It's the number one priority. Education can always fix something. It's like, go get it. So, transitioning from public school to private school was a different reality. It was more challenging. It was fun. And going to Dade Christian, where I was now the minority. I went from a public school where it was predominantly African Americans to then predominantly Hispanic. And you're like, people calling you Elizabeth, and you're like, Elizabeth and Liz. And so I would say I really grew to appreciate the sacrifices my parents made for my education. And it allowed for me to have the freedom to figure out what within the academic environment I loved, and that was science and biology and the human body as a whole. So, yeah, Kevin, you mentioned it. I went to Chaminade. I'm really proud to be from Chaminade, honestly. Like, people make fun of it, call it Shahama, Falama, whatever. Chaminade Madonna, put some respect on our name. And it was at Chaminade where I found out I really loved biology. And I did a lot of sports. I did basketball. I just thought that basketball was too physical for me. I liked volleyball because it was more girly. I liked track because there was some finesse to it a little bit. I did cheerleading for a little bit. I was not doing the flips in the air, so I went back to other sports. But yeah, I have a lot of passions. I have a lot of interests. But I was pretty good at realizing which ones would be the best ones for me in a sense. So I'm happy about that.
That's dope. So I remember you mentioned about our parents being very big on education. And, you know, growing up, you don't really understand everything that your parents do, you know. Looking back, any child, I know I have a child now, he's going to say I did a lot of stuff wrong later on when he's old enough to tell me. But I have a different appreciation for what our parents did for us now having a child and the things that they did. And although a lot of it, you know, I would say they didn't need to do a lot, but it definitely put us in a better situation now. As far as with education, it was always number one. Sports, I had to be the pioneer in that, to break their thinking about how sports could actually be beneficial to us. For years, they didn't think it was anything of importance, but they came around eventually, and you definitely reaped a lot of benefits from that. But just to say on the education part, it's very important that no matter what you do, you are educated as much as you possibly can in the subject. Because also a verse I would like to quote is in the Bible: "My people perish for lack of knowledge." A lot of things that we are aspiring for or looking to attain in life, it's not because it's out of our reach. It's because we don't know what it takes to get that, if that makes sense. You're lacking the knowledge that it takes to attain whatever it is that you're looking to attain. And in the public school system, they didn't have the knowledge to really understand how or what way to cultivate you. They just went by, okay, she can't do this. We don't have time to really take that into another level. And they just moved on, as they do so many kids, which I'm not really a fan of public school system. But the private school system, where it was much more, the smaller class sizes, they're able to give you more attention and really focus you more in the sciences, and allows you to flourish. Like you said, you were able to now find your passion, which then excelled you further than what anybody previously thought was possibly possible for you. Now, fast forward, you're definitely into college, and you're doing things right now. So, what are you doing now with your schooling? Is that the major thing?
So, yes, I don't want to leave out my undergrad. I'm proud of my undergrad. So I went to the University of New Haven in West Haven, Connecticut.
Hey guys, what's up? It's Mr. Believe. And if you guys are enjoying these interviews on the podcast and you want to catch an interview live, go and follow me on Instagram at KevBiyi. That's at KEV as in Victor, B as in boy, IYI. And you can definitely catch one of these podcasts live and in color. See you soon.
And like you mentioned, our family, you were the trailblazer in our parents recognizing the importance of athletics. And so I was able to go for on a volleyball and academic scholarship. So at the University of New Haven, I was thinking I was going to go pre-med. I didn't really know about the research route, but luckily I did get some research experience at Yale and the VA. So that led me to where I am now in Cleveland, Ohio at Case Western. I'm in my last year of my doctoral program. Oh my gosh, Lord have mercy. I want to just do flips because it said last year. Hashtag graduate me now. But yeah, so what I'm doing now is I am doing actual research. My research area is looking in brain cancer. And so the type of brain cancer my research focuses on is called glioblastoma, and it's predominantly within Caucasian white males. And it usually presents at geriatric 64 years of age. Geriatric by medical terms, not by my understanding. But I went into this because I knew, going back to our household, I knew no matter what I did, I was going to do it to the furthest extent. So I knew that going to get my bachelor's degree was great, but I definitely wanted to do a terminal degree. I wanted to go as far as I could in my field of interest, and not have a question about what was what. So that led me to where I am now, pursuing and finishing up my PhD.
Wow. See, now we're going to have our first Dr. KevBiyi in the family. Like I said, she just keeps on setting the bar, and it just makes me say, what am I doing here? But so you're definitely, the athletics allowed for you and opened up a door for you to go to another college, because you were looking at Nova and some other places, but with the combination of that, you were able to now explore out of the state, find out how much you really enjoyed the change of the colors. You even got to do some time at Yale. So it opened up a lot of doors for you. And now you're into your last year of your doctoral program. What challenges have you faced along this journey of becoming a doctor of, I don't know what we call it, doctor of biology, Science?
Philosophy.
Doctor of Philosophy?
Mm-hmm.
What challenges?
So I came into this program really naive. I just knew I loved science and I wanted to do it. I didn't really understand that there were politics in academia, and to the extent that there were politics in academia. I knew that it was going to be important to choose a good lab, but I didn't choose a good lab when I first came here. So I came into my program in the summer of 2013. I was in a lab for about 4.5 years before having to change labs to the lab I am now, and I'm finishing up in now. So what led to me changing labs was just the further realization as time passed that my mentor at the time and me were not a good fit. Like, the communication wasn't there, the support really wasn't there. Honestly, like, I was using expired reagents to do experiments, and it's like, how can you trust the data? And there wasn't like a collaborative effort. It was more so like, you do this is your PhD, but it's like, I'm a student, I'm here to learn. So that like mentorship, mentor-mentee relationship was really poor. So I am in a lab now where it's much better, and I'm happy about that. But during that time where it was the pivotal point of like, all right, this is not working out, and my committee, I had all my committee members behind me, supporting me. They're like, you have 3 options. You could stay, we don't recommend it, but you could stay in the current lab. You could take the master's degree that you've earned and master out, or you can change labs and you can't take your research with you. So it's like 4.5 years of research that you can't take with you, and you're like, this is already a long program, and like 4.5 years, that means something to me. Like, that's like undergrad plus, that's like high school plus, like, so during that time, it was really difficult. I definitely called home a lot. I tried to make sure I was going to the gym to keep my endorphins high. I was meditating, I was praying, I was fasting, I was reaching out to friends, I was reaching out to committee members, my thesis committee. It was a tough time. And also my church family. I'm thankful for them as well through that time.
Wow, that's a tough thing to figure out after 4.5 years. You know, either I can basically walk away, not get my doctoral, or start over from scratch. Like,
yes,
that had to be very stressful for you.
Yes.
So what would you say is the biggest difference between then and this new lab? Is it just the mentorship part of it?
I would say the biggest difference is a sense of community. When you're pursuing your thesis research, a lot of the times you can feel like you're alone in it, like it's on your back. If you happen to take a weekend and drive somewhere and just to see a nice park or a national park in a neighboring state, the research stops. But in an ideal world, it would continue to go and move forward. You'd have collaborations. You'd have other people helping you through. So I think that's one of the biggest things, is that in my first lab, I was definitely doing everything on my own and fumbling. It was like me leading myself through what I did not fully understand or get. Now I feel like there's a lot more support, and there's more of a team environment, meaning that like we have collaborators that have expertise in areas that we don't. And there are other people that are helping with experiments that they have more expertise in. And I'm doing a lot of the navigating and the coordination of things, but I'm also pioneering a lot of the experiments myself, and I had to set up a lot of things in the lab myself. So it's more collaborative, and in research, that's an ideal environment.
Wow, what I take from that is one of the sayings my dad used to always tell me. He used to always say, no man is an island. You know, you can't try to do everything on your own. And in that first lab, you were basically left out there in your cold to try to figure out on your own. And when you got to the next lab, you see how much of a difference it is to have a village, per se, behind you, helping you and supporting you through your research. So that's great. I'm proud of you. I can't wait till you're done and get that what is the big poofy hat that they get when they graduate?
Yes. Looks like a little, like, almost looks like a home plate from a baseball thing. It's just like a little poofy, yeah.
Oh, it's going to be a celebration. We're going to party it up. So, what would you say has been your biggest accomplishment? I mean, of course, your biggest accomplishment would be when you graduate. But today, what would be your biggest accomplishment that you've had?
The first thing that comes to my mind is perspective. And I say that that's the biggest thing is because I think once I made the decision that I'm not going to quit on this endeavor, and I'm not going to let this just fall by the wayside, it became a matter of like, what do I need to persevere through this? And how can I change the mentality I previously had to be more supportive to me not wanting to quit or let go of what I'm doing? So perspective has been the biggest thing that I'm proud of. I feel like it's been my biggest accomplishment in my growth as an adult.
That is definitely a great thing to have, is perspective, because there's I know I'm saying a lot of sayings and quotes right now, but there's another one where people say, I forgot who says this, but if you say you can or you say you can, you're right. And all that depends on perspective. So when you're able to look at things, like I said before, I try to be a guy that looks at things with the glass half full. If you look at it from a perspective of there's a possibility, your mind, although looking at it from where you're at, you may not actually know how you're going to get there, but your mind will actually start to think of different ways and ideas of how you could possibly make your next move and move you in that direction. But once you tell yourself, I can't, your mind will stop and not even continue to go. So your perspective of what you have for yourself takes you or leaves you where you're at. So that's a great thing to take along. What are some of the biggest lessons that you've learned?
Before I get into the biggest lessons, I wanted to share one of my favorite quotes. So being in Cleveland right now, and also like loving the work of this comedian, and he has so many other titles at this point, author and talk show host, Steve Harvey, who I'm talking about. I used to watch a lot of his like motivational speeches and his like radio show and hear him. And so one of the quotes that he has is, if you give up, the guarantee is it will never happen. The only way the possibility remains that it can happen is if you never give up, no matter what. So that to me hones in on the reality of like, you give up, it's done. Like there's no if, what, can, but not, maybe, it's done. You let it go. But if you continue, the possibility remains that it can happen for you. So that's been something that, along with the perspective change, has been motivating through this. The biggest lessons. I would say one of the biggest lessons I've had is, because I feel like I know how to student well. You know what I mean? If that makes any sense. You go from elementary to, middle school, to high school, to undergrad, to grad school. You're a student. But I think that taking that year between undergrad and grad school to work, to understand what taxes were as an adult for myself, to understand what grocery shopping looked like. Okay, I would literally, I feel like ultimately being an adult and practicing that and then understanding what to prioritize and has been one of the biggest lessons. So covering your bases. I don't like surprises in terms of like, oh, you owe the IRS. No, I don't owe the IRS nothing. I paid them all. I understand what grocery shopping means. I understand what stocking a pantry looks like. I understand what filling up my gas and taking care of my car looks like, because if not, it could break down at any given point in time. I do have an older car, so I think my biggest lessons have been to kind of do what I have to do to keep the background going so that I can show up and perform at my best. So that looks like having food in the fridge. That looks like having gas in my tank, having clean clothes to wear, like the very basic necessities, and making sure that I don't pile them all on one day to do, like do it here and there, so that I'm kind of constantly steady state moving forward.
That's a great lesson to learn, man. I think that's something that you're going to be learning for life, because your tastes are going to change. What you like is going to change over time. And I feel like everybody has to take ownership. It's at the end of the day, it's ownership of your accountability. You know, you're accountable to yourself. It's nobody's fault. I mean, to an extent, your childhood, you can say, I blame it on my parents, or I blame it on this guy or that person. But once you hit the age of adulthood, there's nobody to blame but yourself. You got to look at yourself in the mirror and wake up and say, hey, my car went empty because I was not responsible to fill up the gas tank before I went to sleep. My lights are off because I wasn't responsible enough to pay my bill on time. It's not because mom didn't do it, or my dad didn't give me my allowance this week, or because Billy Joe down the street was picking on me. You are accountable for you, you know, and you have to be able to take account whatever aspect of your life, whether it's in business, entrepreneurship, or personal, and take accountability and take your responsibility. And that's a great lesson to learn. And it's going to be a continuing learning lesson. We're all continuing to learn. So that's a great one. That's a great one. So now when you're going through all of this stuff, I'm pretty sure it gets a little stressful. Myself, I'm done with school. As far as the traditional sense, I don't mind to go back and take a class here or there, you know, and continue my journey in learning. But to persevere to the level at which you're at,
Hey, it's Mr. Believe, and I'm here to tell you about Titan Protective Services, where they protect what matters most to you. Titan Protective Services provides innovative security solutions for apartment complexes, rental properties, and condominiums. We believe that as a family-run company, we are here to make sure your property is taken care of and protected from vandalism, theft, and destruction. Contact us today for your security needs. Visit www.titanproserv.com today, or call us at 844-39-TITAN. That's 844-39-TITAN.
I don't want it. But I'm pretty sure when you're doing that and you're taking care of yourself at the same time, things can get a little stressful. What do you do, or how do you cope with those stressful times when they do come upon you?
So my one vice is massages. I get a monthly massage no matter what. Through COVID, I did miss a couple months, but once they opened up and they're like, we're going to take your temperature, we're going to sanitize your hands, and we're going to require you wear a mask, I'm like, I'll be there. As long as my my massage therapist is fine and I'm fine, we're good. I'm showing up. So relaxation is huge to me. I really do value coming home and unwinding and processing the day, a variety of things that happened, whether it's like coworker, boss interactions, to just how I showed up in the day. Like, did I feel like I was at my best? If I didn't, do I need more sleep? Do I need something nutritionally? But I think the biggest way that I handle stress is through making sure that I take time to relax. And so massages are something that's big for me. I do like meditating, but of lately my brain hasn't been able to hone in on it fully. I'm picking up working out more, so I refuse to have this have me looking any different than I was looking before I came to grad school. So I am like integrating a lot of water, fruits, vegetables, and then one hearty meal solid, hearty meal. With, of course, chocolate and things integrated in there, but all in moderation. I have my morning routine of like opening my Bible app, and then I read a verse. I read my Bible devotional, and then I also love Joel Osteen. His sermons are really motivational, so they fit my personality and the way that I would receive the word. Other ways, I call my mom, talk, sometimes just take your mind off of like what's going on. And usually she has some kind of funny story. Something happened with my nephew that he said some new word, or he has some kind of new emotion. So, and laughter, honestly. Like, there's certain YouTube channels I go to when I know I need a good laugh. And I feel like there's something about having a good laugh to the point where your abs are hurting and you're like, holy moly, like, this is good. Yeah, so those are the kind of things that I integrate into my life to cope with stress and to continue to persevere, keep balance.
Definitely. Jokes apart, self-care is definitely one of the best things that you can do for yourself. I just added the jokes apart. That's a little inside joke between my business. He knows what I'm talking about when I say jokes apart. But self-care is definitely important. You have to take time for yourself. Just like when we mentioned earlier about being accountable and responsible for yourself. Nobody's going to take care of you. You can have your partner, your spouse. At the end of the day, you are responsible for you. So you must take care of yourself so that you can now be able to give to other people. There's this saying in the Bible, your cup overflowing. But something has to pour into that cup first before it can overflow. Before you can be a blessing or give to anybody, you must first put something inside of your cup. And self-care, like making sure you get your massages, making sure you open your Bible app in the morning, making sure that you work out, is you pouring into your cup so that when you now go out, because it's inevitable, wherever you go, whatever you do, you're always going to be giving of yourself in some capacity, whether it's advice, whether it's taking somebody somewhere, doing a favor. You're not going to be able to do that with love if your cup is empty. You're going to be looking for somebody to fill up your cup for you. So self-care is definitely one of the best ways. However that looks for you. For me, I like to wake up earlier than everybody, get up 5 o'clock in the morning, and just meditate, read, listen to podcasts or sermons. I definitely like to go to the gym. I get to the gym by 6 a.m. Before everybody in my house is up, I go and work out. Or I'll go running at 5 a.m. just to have that time so that when now it's time for me to give of myself to somebody, I have something in my cup to give. And that's definitely very important. So this next question I've been asking everybody, and because of COVID, a lot of people said they can't even think about 5 years from now. So I kind of changed it a little bit from the way I worded it. Instead of what's your 5-year plan, what do you envision for yourself in 5 years? Like, how do you envision yourself, where your life to be, and where you want to
be? In 5 years, by God's grace, I envision myself beyond done with this program. So that's going to be like really in the rear view. But I also envision myself owning a home, being a homeowner by then. I envision myself having at least 3 streams of income by then. I envision myself continuing to do community service. That's something that I love to do. It pays forward a lot of the opportunities that were given to me. I envision myself personally having move forward in terms of like my relationship. And so by that time, by the grace of God, will be a wife and have children. And mommy friends at that time, like all support you can get through every phase of life. And I could envision myself starting to like learn into earning property because I really want to get into that. So around the end of that 5-year mark.
That's good. That's dope. I definitely am ready to be an uncle. Either you or my brother, whenever you guys are ready. That's definitely something I want to do. And I've seen a couple of questions come across the screen. Just for easiness, or for make this interview a lot better, there's a question box at the bottom of your screens. I don't know if you can see it on yours, Liz, but for everyone who's watching, there's a little question box next to the comment box. If you tap that question box, it allows you to type your question there. And at the end, I'll be able to put Lizzie on the hot seat with those questions. And it'll pop across her screen as well, so she can also read your questions. So, for anybody who's dropped a question in the comments, because sometimes it's a little difficult to scroll and I might skip it by mistake. My eyes are not the best with this light in front of me. Just drop it in the question box, and at the end, we'll put it on the hot seat. Now, what mistakes would you say you wish you could have avoided along your journey thus far, if any? Because most mistakes usually turn out to be great lessons that we learn. But are there any that you feel like you just could have avoided altogether?
I honestly, I'm happy for my decisions. And I know people are going to be like, oh, you know, you shouldn't have done this, you shouldn't have done that. I made a lot of choices. And in that moment in time, I felt like I was making the best choice. Or if I wasn't making the best choice, I knowingly knew that and was willing to take the consequences that came with it. So me, I refuse to have regret. I rather come to acceptance with the choices that I've made and the consequences that have followed in some of those situations than to live in regret. So I honestly felt like in undergrad, I was really like tight-laced. I was really like by the book. And I wish I had a little bit more fun because I already knew I was going to be responsible. But I wish that I could have like gone to another party or a couple more parties than I had done so, or like taken a road trip with friends and like been willing to have been stranded but figure out a way to get home or something of that nature. So I try not to live with regret. I try to make peace with it, and I'm happy with my life.
That's a great perspective to have, man. Take ownership of anything that you do and know it's a lesson in the end. It only becomes a mistake or something that you regret when you haven't, when your perspective isn't on learning the lesson from it, and that's when you repeat those mistakes. So, what tips would you have for any aspiring students or entrepreneurs?
So I'm a budding entrepreneur, so I'm willing to learn in that area. The biggest thing I keep telling myself over and over, it's okay to fail. If you completely fall on your face, it's okay to fail. And make some progress. Do something. So I'll get into like what I'm hoping to move into the entrepreneurial space and what I'm hoping to do there, but that's my biggest mantra is like, it's okay to fail. If I make a mistake, it's going to be all right. So that's what I'm thinking in that regard. But in terms of students, I would say for undergrad level students, have fun. Like, I'm looking back on my life, like I didn't have any responsibilities. I don't have a lot of responsibilities now. I don't have a spouse. I don't have any kids. I take care of myself, manage my own money, and like, plan for my future. But I really do, like, you think you have so much going on. You're like, I have class and I can't, and I gotta do this, I got this project, I got practice, and in reality you do have a lot more time. And you look at the 9 to 5 now, you have 2 classes and 3 classes maybe, you're done. There's so much time. There's a lot of time to do more things. So I say as an undergrad, get involved in those different organizations. Do internships while you're in the semester, not just waiting to the summertime. Network. I would say LinkedIn is my favorite. I call it social media, but it's probably not fully social media. It's more of like a professional outlet. I push LinkedIn a lot. So get on LinkedIn. Make sure you have a LinkedIn by the time you're a freshman in college, and add at least 5 people each month at the very least to keep that moving forward. In terms of grad school, it's different for each program. So if you're thinking like JD or if you're thinking MD, I can only speak for the PhD route. it is the number one importance is not like, oh, I really want to do cancer research or I really want to do liver or heart research. No. The number one important is picking the right mentor. Ask older graduate students. They know. Don't make the mistake of rotating or being in a lab where you're going to be expected to work 24 hours a day. And some. Probably going to be expected to work 36 hours in a 24-hour day. And it's really important to pick a mentor that is going to have your back when push comes to shove. It's not going to be stabbing you in the back, and is also wanting to see you succeed, excel. So mentorship is the number one thing. And I would say number two, research and data, and number three is like lab environment. But yeah.
Definitely.
And then work on building that support system. So having friend support systems, I have a church support system, I have a family support system. I also have like different nooks of friends in different areas of my life. I was a part of a book club that is no longer, but I still have friends from that book club. So it's important to build support systems through grad school. It's definitely a long journey.
Definitely. That's some great advice right there. You touched on a lot of the subjects within that. So just make sure the biggest thing, get a support system and definitely choose your mentors wisely. Now, before we get into our next segment, which is this or that segment, we get to know a little bit more about how Elizabeth thinks. I have a little announcement for you guys about this month's Black Dollar Challenge. Now, the Black Dollar Challenge is brought to you by Unique African Boutique. Remember to be unique. And the raffle for where you donate is to the hashtag #IBelieve15. This month's raffle prize is brought to us by Billionaire PA. He has a book, My Mind is Wealthy. This is a great quality book. It's valued at $140. So it's not something cheap. It's gold letters or gold pages on the inside, and it's actually signed by Billionaire PA himself. All you need to do to purchase a raffle ticket is donate $1 to the hashtag #IBelieve15. We'll purchase your raffle ticket. Now, the more you donate, the more raffle tickets that you will win. Now, the proceeds do not go to me. They go to another one of our guests that we had in the Believe in Yourself podcast. It's Art. They were formerly Piece of Truth. This is their nonprofit arm. What they do with Art is they help other artists hone their craft and turn it into a business. So they allow the artists to turn their passions into profit and teach them how to do it along the way. That's a great mentorship program for a lot of people who are in the art space. And another part that they do with their non-for-profit is they put on events for veterans struggling with PTSD, where they're allowed to now express themselves through art. So it's a great organization where your money is going to be going to and going to be donated to. And also, you have a chance to win a great book, which is My Mind is Wealthy by Billionaire PA. It teaches you how to build a wealthy mind, which is all about.
Hey, it's Mr. Believe, and I want to tell you about Unique African Boutique. It is a beautiful collection of authentic clothing, jewelry, accessories, and art that are made with the highest quality from artisans in Africa. What you get from Unique African Boutique, you can't get from anywhere else. Our entire collection is made up of one-of-a-kind pieces that promote the culture, music, and lifestyle of Africa, with care for the artisans and their families and their livelihood. Shop Unique African Boutique today at shopuniqueafricanboutique.com.
About perspective. Remember, that Black Dollar segment is brought to you by Unique African Boutique. Remember to be unique, and you donate to the hashtag #IBelieve15. Now, we're at our segment. And if you guys have any questions, I see some questions in the question box at the end of the this or that segment. We're going to put Elizabeth on the hot seat with your questions. So remember, at the bottom of your screen, there's a question box. Just tap that question box. Type your questions in there. I saw my mother who's here watching us. Hey, Mom. She typed a bunch of questions. I can't scroll up a lot. So hit the question box, Mom, and anybody else that's watching, and type your question in there, and we'll put Elizabeth on the hot seat later. So now, this or that. Which would you prefer? Audiobooks or podcasts?
Definitely audiobooks.
Audiobooks? So what audiobooks would you recommend to people watching today?
Which audiobook did I most enjoy? I actually really enjoyed this audiobook. I think it's called The Sun Does Shine by Anthony Ray Hinton. It was an individual who was wrongfully incarcerated on death row for nearly 30 years of his life. And when you hear his perspective on like how he holds no grudges, it really does put a lot of the word perspective, as I mentioned earlier, it gives a lot of perspective to my everyday life. And I think it's called The Sun Does Shine by Anthony Ray Hinton. It's very touching. It sometimes can be a little emotion evoking, but it's really good. I really enjoyed it.
I'm gonna check that one.
It's a Black author.
I'm definitely gonna check that one out. So, which is your favorite app? Facebook or Instagram?
I definitely rather IG. I'm more of a visual person. I think once my parents started to be on Facebook and like family started to, like in college it was cool, but like now it's like everyone has a status. It's a lot. It is a whole lot. I rather IG. It's a picture, you can like it, keep scrolling. It is not much. Yeah, I'm more of a visual person anyways. I love IG.
Same here. Facebook has just got so much going on. You can get lost on the videos, then you have the groups, then you have the status. It's just a lot. Instagram, you get there, you scroll a few, and you're off. You like a few, you're off. It's definitely much more easy to use. I definitely like that one. Now, this is going to be a music question. We have a versus battle coming up this Monday. For those of you who keep up with the verses, it's Mrs. Brandy and Monica. Who do you choose?
Well, I would have to go with Brandy just because I love her voice. It's very soulful. I love her chocolate skin. I can find more parallels with myself and relate more with her. I do think Monica's also talented. I'm not going to say anything. She's representing for her genre of music. Well, they're in the same genre, actually, right? R&B. But I would rather Brandy.
Yeah.
I do want to mention I'm wearing this T-shirt, and this is I got this from my cousin. I think he's in here. His name is Deji, but this is from Akil Apparel, and so go get you some. Go get you some.
Definitely. Say less. Just go get it. Say less.
Yeah, it's probably miss this man right here.
I used to think that growing up, you used to resemble Brandy a little bit. To me, I don't know if anybody else has had that sentiment, but now you guys don't look that much alike. She's much older now, but growing up, I used to think you guys resemble each other a little bit. Now, next question, we'll get into sports. You definitely were if there was an athlete in our family, you were the athlete of our family. You played every sport. But in high school, there were two that you really liked the most. Which one would you have preferred to go on in your career with, volleyball or track?
Volleyball, period. Volleyball is so much fun. So I'm more of a girly girl. And so I love the cheers. I love the chants. I love the camaraderie. I love the oohs, the ahs, momentum. And so it's a very individual person to person for your position sport, but it's team based. So that aspect of it made it fun. The track, of course, you get there, you start, you run, it's great. And you're gaining points for your team, but it's a little bit more isolating. Of course you want to win, but volleyball, it's not all on you. You help in some way, shape, or form, whether you're cheering good that day or you're killing the ball or blocking the ball. It's fun.
I used to love going to your volleyball matches. That used to make me take the camcorder and record them. I remember those days. So this last question, you would know, I'm definitely a cookie monster. So I asked everybody this. Which one would you prefer? Chocolate chip cookies or Oreos?
Neither. I've seen you ask this question before. I do not accept the premise of that question because I don't want to be tied to either. I prefer oatmeal cookies. So I guess oatmeal cookies.
That's one way we agree. I disagree. I do not like oatmeal cookies.
I'm happy because mommy always has a stash in the freezer, and the oatmeal is always there, full. No one's ever touched it until I come home. It is just for me.
There you go. You can have it. I eat all the chocolate chip and the macadamias. I always.
That's gone.
Yeah.
Between you, Cody, it's gone.
Definitely. So I guess you win in that aspect because you always get the oatmeals. So now we definitely have some questions over here in the hot seat. Woo, 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 woo. Okay, let's see.
It's a little scary.
All right. Are you a plant mom? How do you plants help with self-care?
Oh my gosh, plants are like my pets. So yes, I am a plant mom. I love plants. As you can see, I have 2 ZZ plants right here. I have a plant that I adopted for COVID because it was going to be neglected in someone's office. I'm just caring for it temporarily, but it's living. I love plants. To see them blossom, to see them grow, new buds, new leaves, it's really great. And then also they have great oxygen, so they need my carbon, what I release, and I take their oxygen in, and they're really pretty. So
that's dope.
Yes.
I learned something new today. There is a such thing as a plant's mom. I never even knew that was a thing.
Yeah, get on board, Kevin. Come on.
Next, Kevin. Oh, I guess this is for me. What would you say one thing you're most proud of Lizzie today? Most proud of? I'm most proud that she has not given up. If anything, I know my dad used to always tell us when you started, you must finish. And that's stuff. You know, there are some things that I started and I put down and I regret to this day. But Lizzie, like I said, she's always been an inspiration, man. And I'm in awe. You know, even after her first 4.5 years in doctorate school, if that would have been me, I'd be doing something else right now. Like, if you look me up on Sundays, like, I've started so many businesses that have so-called failed because I gave up on them. But my sister, man, her perseverance and just her want to and not giving up, that would be the most thing I'm most proud of because she's definitely a strong woman for that. And whoever's the lucky guy that wins her heart, you know, he's going to get a great woman in return. So that's what I'm most proud of my sister for.
Kev?
Mom also asked, why did you say jokes apart? Oh, God.
Well, my mom is, with not saying too much, because it's always funny to keep the inside jokes. She is very animated, and whenever there's something funny that has happened in her life, the recapitulation of that story is very detailed. But yeah, jokes apart is because, I mean, she said that, so it's funny.
It's one of her phrases. Whenever she starts a sentence with jokes apart, we know what's coming, and we all, my brother and sister, we all laugh. It's one of our inside jokes that we have. Okay. Mom's question was, what does Lizzie like to do for fun? I guess you're typing for our mom today, Mrs. Tone. What do you like to do?
For fun, I honestly love to learn more about finance. So, watching financial or listening to financial audiobooks, Susie Orman's is one of the ones I really like, but also some podcasts that are financial based, some YouTube channels that are financial based. It really feels empowering. I see finance as a tool to not be broke or have struggles and like be strategic and plan ahead. So learning about finance is really fun to me.
That's like the key to let you know that you're getting older. Like, I thought I was the only one who found, like, watching educational videos as fun and interesting. Definitely, that's the key right there to let you know, hey, we're getting older. Hey, my mom definitely learned how to use it. She wants to know, what is your favorite color?
Orange.
Orange. There you go.
It's a fruit and a color.
There you go. Okay. Oh, wrong again. My mom says she loves to watch you on Facebook. I guess that's when you said that your parents are on it. Actually, I guess she really is stalking our account. That's why we're not there.
She's not Facebook.
That's why we're not there anymore.
She
But now she's on
she is
Instagram,
now
so
Facebook fair.
You gotta find a new app.
She's not. Oh my gosh. Mommy is not Facebook fair or Instagram fair. She won't post anything. She won't share anything. But she will look at everyone's things and have an opinion. And I'm like, this is not what the community is for.
Exactly. That's that. What? Oh, I bet the top blooded Lizzie. I don't know what that comment is towards, but I guess that means her perseverance. Were you talking about her perseverance, Mom? That's the Abekita blood. We are Nigerian by blood. Both of my parents are from Nigeria. And one of the cities that they are from is Abekita. I hope I'm saying it correctly. I know I sound like, I don't want to say the word.
Abekita.
I sound like an American right now pronouncing it. But I guess that's what my mom was trying to refer to. Okay, Mrs. KevBiyi, what you miss most from undergrad?
I definitely miss you, Tamika. From undergrad, I miss. The food was okay. I don't really miss that. I think honestly, I miss the people. The people is what made it fun. I miss the players. I miss the connections, the friendships that I had. That's what made it fun. Thanks for the question, Tamika.
Thank you. And that was it, man. You got some good hot seat questions today. Oh wait, somebody just popped another one in. Oh, it's just a comment. Thank you, Mom. You're an original Nigerian woman, Lizzie. That's what our mom's letting you know.
Yes. Thank you, Mommy.
Thank you, Mom, for supporting the podcast. Believe in yourself. She definitely tunes in to almost every episode whenever she can. And for those of you that like Lizzie's shirt, Achilles Apparel, you just tuned in. Achilles Apparel, check them out. Say less. So, now that we're coming down to the end of the podcast, I definitely want to say, Lizzie, thank you for joining my podcast. I've been waiting for this time to bring you guys on. I just wanted to wait for the right time. And you are definitely an inspiration to me. Even though you're my younger sister, you definitely motivate me to be a better person every time and every day. And I just thank you for that. Being an example in your community, to your friends, to people around you. You're definitely an inspiration. So keep going. And then 1 minute and 45 seconds, I'm going to allow for you to now have the floor. And you can either let people know how they can contact you, keep up with you, support you, or whatever it is that you want.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be your younger sister and your favorite sister. You can find me at Akinbyi on Instagram and Elizabeth Akinbyi on LinkedIn. And I'm going to be starting a headband or a head accessory company next March, so look for that. Definitely.
And make sure you guys support. I mean, I don't know if the headbands is anything that I can really use. I'll probably buy it for my wife, though. You know, since I'm a little, what do you call that, follicle impaired right now.
Hair check.
I don't know if I'm going to get into that. But I thank everybody for tuning in. And remember, you guys, you want to keep up with episodes are coming up. Definitely want to keep up with the Black Dollar Challenge. Just text BIY to 31996. That's BIY to 31996 and join the community. And for everybody else, and for Liz, we'll catch you guys on the next episode. Peace. Thanks for tuning in.
This show is brought to you by Believe in Yourself. Don't forget to visit IBelieveInMeInc.com. That's IBelieveInMeInc.com for all your BIY swag. That's I Believe in Me Inc. for all your BIY swag. And we'll see you on the next episode.